when I was asked to come here, I was deeply honored. For Jessie Norman is a good friend of mine. I've known her for many years. And I said to myself, Elijah, it was meant for you to be at Peabody on this night. And I've come simply to, because see, I believe that everything is meant to be. And I've come to pose a question to all of you. And it's a simple question that one of the famous artists of the inner city posed as Cat Stevens for the parents. He says, "Oh, very young, what will you leave us this time? You're only dancing on this earth for a short while. And though your dreams may toss and turn you now, they will vanish away like your daddy's best jeans, denim blue fading up to the sky. And though you want them to last forever, you know he never will. You know he never will. And the patches make the goodbye harder still. Oh, very young, what will you leave us this time?" Parents, I know that you can relate to what I'm saying. For as you look at your graduates tonight, if you're like me, a father who has watched their child come across the stage, you can't help but think about when they were a baby. Come on, don't leave me out here by myself. You can't help but think about the moments, the critical moments when they brought so much joy to your life, when they began to walk, and when they began to talk. And you can remember the days when you were trying to figure out what they wanted to say, and you were hoping that they would hurry up and start talking, and then when they started talking, you wanted to shut them up. Come on now, don't leave me out here. But now you see them. But the question is, oh, very young, what will you leave us this time? You're only dancing on this earth for a short time. I often think as I watched the outstanding performances, I could not help but think about my own life growing up in Baltimore, Provost Lieberman, growing up in South Baltimore, and I shall never forget, they had a street band that would play and they would parade up and down the street. And my dream was simply to play in the band. And it cost 25 cents a year to rent the horn. And my father, who was a laborer, a film and sharecropper with a third grade education, could not afford the 25 cents. And I asked myself the question, could I possibly have been one of the great trumpet players of the world? I will never know. And I say that to you to remind you that you are so very, very fortunate. You've had one of the greatest faculties in the world. You have parents who have been there for you, parents who helped you figure out what your talents were and what your gifts were, and then they help you to develop them and nurture them so that now you can deliver them to the world. Oh, you're blessed. You are so blessed. And I leave you with just 3 quick thoughts. First of all, I want you to realize that it's your dream and nobody else's. It's your dream. I always wanted my children to be lawyers. Any parents familiar? And because I figured a lawyer could make some money, and I'm a lawyer. And my youngest daughter came to me one day and she said, now she's now in her 4th year of college. She came to me in the middle school and she says, "Daddy, I want to go to a theater camp." And I said, "What?" I said, what did you say? She said, Daddy, I want to go to a theater camp. And parents, I searched and searched and searched and found a theater camp in the summer. And I will never forget going to see her in her play. And she had been telling me about the play, and she was supposed to play the role of Gertrude. And she would go over, play, and I'd listen. And so I got to the play, I bought my flowers, I sat on the front row. I was so excited on the edge of my seat to see how this girl would do. And come to find out, she was not playing the role of Gertrude. She was playing the role of Rose. And I said, and she was good. Parents, you ever been there where you see your child and you say, is that my child? Come on. And afterwards I said, Adia, I thought you said you were playing Gertrude and you played the role of Rose, and it sounds like Rose's part was much more difficult than Gertrude's. And she said something that I'll never forget. She said, Daddy, the girl who was supposed to play Gertrude got sick the night before, and so they asked me, the one supposed to play Rose got sick, and they asked me to play her part. And I said, well, how did you know how to do that? She said, Daddy, I can read a play twice and know it. I said, you're talented, because your daddy can't even read a poem with 4 lines and remember it. What I'm saying to you is that you were born with gifts, and you don't know how great your gifts are until you're around people who don't have them. And so I thank you for cultivating your gifts. I thank you for bringing life to life. But I also thank you for pursuing your dream. Because one of the things that I have learned in life is that when you find your passion, when you find your talent, and you pursue it, you will always do well. Always. Because it is a part of who you are. It is why you are on this earth. And although others may look at you and ask the question, when you gonna get a job? Amen, parents. And so my first thought to you would be to pursue your dreams. The other thought I have for you is one that I've learned over and over again, and that is so often what happens that people who don't reach their dreams is usually because they become distracted. They become distracted by death in a family. They become distracted by a divorce. They become distracted when they didn't get an A and ended up with a C+. They get distracted when they didn't get into a particular school. Or they get distracted when that girlfriend that they thought was the best thing since ice cream left them. But I have come to tell you, if there's anything that I have learned in life, is when the distractions come and when the negative moments come, do not ask the question, why did it happen to me? Ask the question, why did it happen for me? Why did it happen for me? And usually it's to teach you a lesson. And it is a lesson that will go with you until you die. And usually it will help you help somebody else through the same type of thing. So don't get so discouraged. Trust your journey. And if you really sat down and talked to your parents, they would tell you the same thing. Trust your journey. Sometimes it can be very painful, but trust the journey. And as I came into this conservatory tonight, I could not help but think about T.D. Jakes, one of the great theologians of our time. He came to my church about 2 years ago, and he was talking about his son who was about to go to a conservatory. And the night before he was supposed to go, he came to his father and he said, Daddy, I know you paid the tuition. I know it was hard for me to get in, but Daddy, I don't know whether this is the thing. I don't know if this is the thing for me. I don't know if I'll be able to get a job when I finish. I don't know whether I should travel so far. Daddy, I just don't know whether this is the thing. And his father grabbed him, probably thinking about all the tuition that he'd already paid. And he said these words, and I want you to remember this. He said, son, if it's not the thing, it's the thing that will lead you to the thing. If it's not the thing, it's the thing that will lead you to the thing. And if you know anybody who has achieved anything on this earth, they will tell you that it was one thing to another thing to another, but let me give you this footnote on that one. Everything that happens to you up until this moment, good, bad, and ugly, prepares you for this moment. Everything prepares you for this moment. And so, as I close, you know, one of the things that I think people make a mistake about is they have a tendency, when they're not fulfilling those dreams, to mistake a comma for a period. I beg you not to mistake a comma for a period. So often people get so comfortable in life, and they say, oh, I got my BS degree, BA degree, and I'm happy. They get married with a 2-car garage, 2.5 kids, and they happy. And so they mistake a comma for a period. And what they could have been, they never become. This is only the beginning. Because there's a world that's depending on you to bring life to life. And never say that this is enough, because it is simply not. And I'm reminded of my father, former sharecropper, who plowed the land where his foreparents had been slaves. 3rd grade education in Manning, South Carolina. He planted corn, tobacco for 15 cents a day. He moved his family to Baltimore in the 1940s. And he moved us to Baltimore for one reason. First of all, there were 7 of us, but only 1 of us was born in South Carolina. The other 6 were born here in Baltimore. But he brought us here for one reason, because he wanted to make sure we got an education. And he accomplished his dream. But I remember my father used to say, I'll never forget when he dropped me off at Howard University my first year. And I'm going to say it like he said it. He said, now, boy, I'm dropping you off here at this university. And they say they got a lot of Negro professors up in there. And they're going to teach you, they're going to learn you a whole lot. Your mother and your father, we done brought you as far as we could. We only had a 3rd grade education. And, but we're going to drop you off here. And we want you to go in there. We want you to learn all you can. But then he said this, and I think about it every day of my life. He died 14 years ago of a heart attack. But I think about the words that he said to me as he dropped me off with my beat-up suitcase and my 3 bags, green bags of clothes. He said these words to me. He said, go in those walls and get blessed so that you can go out and bless others. In other words, make yourself better. Don't stop at a comma thinking that it's a period. Get better and better so that it's, and he basically what he was saying, it's not about you, it's bigger than you. It's about giving your gifts to the world and lifting somebody up and making their life better. That's why we have the gifts that we have. That's why you're so talented as you are. That's why you've been given the great parents and relatives and supporters and the ones that you borrowed money from that you're never going to pay back. Parents, don't wait for it. That's why. And so I beg you to take your blessings and go out and touch the world. Touch the world and realize that you have been brought upon the earth to do what you do. It is not your mama's dream. It's not your daddy's dream. It's your dream. And so, long enough to cover the subject. Interesting enough, short enough to be of interest. Oh, very young. What will you bring us this time? You have to understand, your parents will tell you. They may be 50-some years old right now, but they will tell you it seems like it was just yesterday that they were your age. Come on, parents, can I hear you? They know. It seems like it was just yesterday. Those years will fly by. And so, oh, very young, what will you bring us this time? You are the living messages we send to a future we will never see. Oh, very young, what will you bring us this time? You're only dancing on this earth for a short time. Oh, very young, what will you bring us this time? Thank you.